Law 4. Always say less than necessary. When you're trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you're saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and swings-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. The first reason. Once the words are out, you cannot take them back. Be particularly careful with sarcasm and fighting against people who have more power than you. The momentary satisfaction you gain with your biting words will be outweighed by the price you pay in the future. Rather swallow your pride and keep silent. When you want to reply aggressively, ask yourself, do I have a strategy with my response, or is it just emotions I want to vent? The human tongue is a beast few can master. It strains constantly to break out of its cage, and if not tamed, it will run wild and cause you grief. If someone is trying to provoke you, ask yourself, why are they attacking you? Are they jealous? Have you done something that makes them feel insecure, that has offended them, or make them look bad? If you can't find a reason and they just like picking on you, use the deterrence strategy. When someone more powerful attacks you or threatens you, make it clear that he will suffer in return. He or she may be stronger, he may be able to win battles, but you will make him pay for each victory. Instead of taking him on directly, you hurt something he values, something close to home. Make him understand that every time he bothers you, he can expect damage, even if on a smaller scale. The only way to make you stop attacking him is for him to stop attacking you. You are like a wasp on his skin. Most people leave wasps alone. Reversal. If your opponent gets angry enough to play the same game back at you, you may also escalate a squabble into a retaliatory war. Use this strategy with caution. The second reason. You starve your enemies of information. The more you speak, the more your words and information can be used against you in the future. Speaking less will make people reveal more about themselves. When you speak, you learn nothing, but when you listen, you can use that information in the future. Asking more questions and mirroring a person is the best strategy to get people to open up. The third reason. You appear dangerous and unpredictable. Louis XIV was a man of very few words. His infamous "I shall see" was one of several extremely short phrases that he would apply to all manner of requests. No one knew exactly where he stood or could predict his reactions. No one could try to deceive him by saying what they thought he wanted to hear, because no one knew what he wanted to hear. As they talked on and on to the silent Louis, they revealed more and more information about themselves, information he would later use against them to great effect. In the end, Louis' silence kept those around him terrified. It was one of the foundations of his power. As Saint Simon wrote, no one knew as well as he how to sell his words, his smile, even his glances. Everything in him was valuable because he created differences, and his majesty was enhanced by the sparseness of his words. Saying less than necessary is not for kings and statesmen only. In most areas of life, the less you say, the more profound and mysterious you appear. By saying less than necessary, you create the appearance of meaning and power. The fourth reason. Saying less will keep you from saying something foolish, even dangerous. In 1825, there was a Russian uprising, and one of the leaders, named Kondraty Rodiev, was to be executed. Rodiev stood on the gallows, noose around his neck. The trapdoor opened, but the rope broke, dashing him to the ground. Rodiev was saved from execution. As he got up to his feet, he called out to the crowd and said, "You see, in Russia they don't know how to do anything properly, not even how to make a rope." At the time, events like this were considered signs of heavenly will, and a man saved from execution this way was usually pardoned. A messenger immediately went to the Winter Palace with the news on the failed hanging. The Tsar was about to sign his pardon, but then asked, "Did Rodiev say anything after this miracle?" The messenger replied, "He said that in Russia they don't even know how to make rope." "In that case," said the Tsar, "let us prove the contrary," and tore up the pardon. The next day Rodiev was hung again. This time the rope did not break. Saying something foolish often will not get you killed, depending on where you are, of course. Nevertheless, the repercussions can still be dire. A person who shows he cannot control his words and tongue shows he cannot control himself and is unworthy of respect. Reversal to this law. There are times when it is unwise to be silent. Silence can arouse suspicion and even insecurity, especially in your superiors. A vague or ambiguous comment can open you up to interpretations you have not bargained for. Silence and saying less than necessary must be practiced with caution then, and in the right situations. It is occasionally wiser to imitate the court jester, who plays the fool, but knows he is smarter than the king. He talks and entertains, and no one suspects that he is more than just a fool. Also, words can sometimes act as a kind of smokescreen for any deception you might practice. The more you talk, in fact, the less suspicious of you they become. Be strategically silent. Don't be silent for no purpose. Don't do anything without a purpose. Know why you say the things you do.
Thank you.